Welcome to Loud Online Video Edition. I'm Brian Giffen, the editor of Loud Online, and this is a special production of our irregular blog because our website just isn't working right now. We're working to get it back up online as soon as possible, but if you've been trying to access our site for any reason since New Year's Day, it hasn't been there. It's not something I need to go into right now. Just suffice to say, we are trying to solve the problem and get back to normal transmission as soon as possible. For now, today I'm going to bring you an interview that I did yesterday with Mike Schleibaum of Darkest Hour. Normally it would have been put up on the site as a written interview, so excuse the quality of the audio because it wasn't meant to be published on YouTube. Unfortunately, the only way that people are going to be able to appreciate this interview that we did with Mike is on YouTube now. So sit back and relax for the next 15 minutes or so while we chat with guitarist and founding member of Darkest Hour. Been a long. Thanks for having a chat today. It's been a while now since we've had Darkest Hour in Australia.
Dude, it's bullshit. Yeah, total bullshit. No, it's been like a decade, man.
Yeah.
Like really 10 years. And here's the thing. Pandemic didn't help. And also the world's a big place. And it was recently, honestly, somebody was looking at the Spotify stats and they're like, hey, Sydney's number 3 in like everywhere. We were like, really? That's strange. Because a lot of booking decisions can be made based on streaming, the internet data. I'm not saying they all are, but sometimes they are. And somebody was looking at it and like brought it up, and we thought, that's odd. We really haven't been to Australia in a long time. I do the web store here, and I do see orders, and we have a Patreon on the internet where we have some Patreons from Australia. But when we noticed that was our top 3rd country in the world where we were being streamed, we were kind of interested, and we at the same time were approached by this company, United Front, who's newer, younger, but seems super honest and willing to take a risk on bringing us back, even though we don't necessarily have like a new album out or anything. And we were like, yeah, that sounds like an educated risk because we fucking love Australia. Every tour has been awesome, even though they've all had their crazy stories attached to them. I've been telling them as they've been doing these interviews. And we love it. I mean, we live to tour Australia. So yeah, we're excited to be back for sure.
Well, that's great, man. And United Front do good work. They do small scale tours. And the ones that they've done so far have all been really good. So they are new, but they know what they're doing. And I think at this time, I think the small scale tours are probably the best. We don't get we miss out on a lot of big budget tours here in Australia because it is so far. And I think a small tour like yours is ideal, really.
Well, I as I've been doing these interviews, I'll tell you what's really ideal or interesting about this tour is that because of the, distance between all these shows in general to anything, you sort of have the ability to have more local and regional bands be on these shows, and you get a flavor of really Australian metal talent that you wouldn't normally if you threw in together a big package and you've got nationals, internationals, whatever's happening. And this is like really cool because we get to come and connect with these scenes. And that's really what we've been doing. We haven't always been like the biggest band in all these countries, but we've been touring the world for just about 30 years and connecting with the underground, like people that are at it. And that's where we thrive, really. And so this tour, it's not, all right, I'm getting ready for this, or I'm nervous about this. This tour is like, fuck yeah. Like, dude, this is like breathing to us, put us in I'm not saying that any of the clubs will have bad, accommodations, but I will say, put us in a, by the dumpster with 2 practice amps and a 6-pack 30 minutes before we're supposed to play, and we'll be fucking ready to do this, man. It's like method acting. We're ready. And I think this is the element to see Darkest Hour too. So to not to just ramble on, but we just recently did a tour with In Flames where they had been out forever in America. And so we played places that weren't always big, kind of smaller. In Fort Lauderdale, Florida, we played this club we've been playing for years with In Flames, and it was epic. So it's really cool to see the right band in it, tight space. So we encourage people, if you live near these shows, if you hear about them, it's gonna be special. So get in there, get tickets while you can, and get in there because we want to see people that love this shit.
I don't know that much about the other shows you're playing, but the room that you're playing in Sydney is quite small and it will be very intimate. But it's
sick.
A lot of
Bring it on. You know what I'm
it's a
saying?
lot of
Right in
fun.
people's faces.
Yeah, and it is great because it has been a long time, but it's also been a long time between albums for Dark
Oh
Star.
yeah, well that's bullshit too. Okay, and man, it's not easy. Okay, because with the pandemic did slow us down, but also we toured a bunch off Godless Prophets. We are not on a record label, so we had actually crowdfunded Godless Prophets and licensed it through Southern Lord. So it wasn't like we were on our regular path of make a record, then make a record, then make a record. We were sort of like on make a record, then do whatever you want, and then we had been experimenting writing for a year, and then the pandemic hit, and we just stopped. Nobody was inspired. Nobody knew what we were gonna do. Shows weren't happening, and that's what we were all about. So we were like, we had to just start the engine all back up again. But then, like anything, like once you really start trying at it and you get it going, you get that one song, you're like, damn, oh, that's good. And then you get like a second one, you're like, okay, now we have two. And then you keep going, and then you have a whole album, but then it's not good enough, and then you keep writing more. And so it was a process because our 10th record, it's like it's either good or just like don't do one. Like what's the point?
Sure.
Like, I mean, it's not like everyone's gonna outsell the last necessarily. This is like literally an art project to us, and so it just, when it started to feel right, and we started to realize we could do what we wanted to do again, which was like create a record, birth the music, and then bring it to the world, then we were gung-ho, and it was like, fire and oil.
Talking about it being an art project, then do you see value in do you still see value in albums, or are you more thinking of like smaller releases, singles or EPs or something that
Oh man, dude, the single and EP, that is just like, yeah, man, it's I love to just get the hell out with that. That'd be easy, but it's like doesn't work for me. Doesn't work for us. It's so not like, I don't know why. And we've been really good at adapting, right? But for some reason, like what you're saying is like when people try to tell me, hey man, like, why don't you just play through the computer instead of an amp? Like I like smelling the tubes and feeling that heat come off the thing and turning it up, and like, so it's sort of the same thing. Like I like when you make a record, like, look, I have one right here. When you make this record, this live record we put out on our Patreon, the subscribers get it, or you can get it from our Big Cartel. It's not really released. It's sort of a band released album, but these are songs. We recorded these live, mixed them, and now it's like a living thing. Like this is magic. Like, I don't know the appeal of necessarily like an EP or a single, unless like creatively I was trying to make a statement. Like if I had a single that I felt like was like said it all in one song, or was a part of something else, or maybe I had an EP that was a part of a series or something I could get into. And I'm not trying to judge what anybody else is doing, but for me, and I think for us, as brutal as it is to make a new record, it's like once you're through all that pain and you get what you get at the end, you kind of forget about the pain and you just want to do it again. I mean, It's like a great tattoo. It's stupid. Like, look at me. I'm fucking covered. Everyone hurts. And I'm like, never again. And then again. And then again. So it's not maybe a little bit of the pain, maybe a little bit of the joy, maybe it all together, but this feels right. Like a collection of songs that say something bigger, but then in themselves say something else is like special. So in short, no, I think we'll stick with records.
It's a pain only artists can appreciate, though, isn't it? That pain of creation.
Oh yeah, I mean, come on, get over yourself. It's not that. If it's like I go back and forth from being that guy who's like, fuck, but also, man, this is first world to be able to put your pain and your thoughts and your inner turmoil into art and then make commerce out of it and go play the world and enjoy it. You know what I mean? That's like, really, you have to be able to look at the duality and be like, yes, being in a band is fucked up and the sacrifices are big and I should respect my bandmates for those that they make. But also, yes, we're lucky to get to do this because there's a fucking line of people who really want this too, and you got to work at it.
Yeah, man, definitely. Well, it's pretty exciting to have you back down here, man. As I said, it has been a very long time, and the show's being small. You're gonna get the guys that have been with you for the whole, pretty much from your whole career coming along.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna be, the set list will be speaking to the entire career of the band. We really want to, like, what is Darkest Hour? This is Darkest Hour.
That's what we want. That's what we want because, you was Darkest Hours that you mentioned before about how you've never been a huge band, but you're definitely one of those ones that gets dropped in with that group that sort of revitalized a little bit of interest in that whole metal scene like a couple of decades ago now. So you were sort of a little bit of a vanguard there, bringing it back after sort of dropped away there.
What's interesting is that we kind of always talked about how, like, we would go places and it would say on the flyer, like, for fans of Carcass, At the Gates, Integrity, Earth Crisis, like all these bands. But those bands wouldn't be playing Nova Scotia. Those bands wouldn't go to Alaska like when we did. They didn't play PEI Island like we did in Canada, like random. Like, we played Iceland maybe 3 or 4 times at this point. We have been places that a lot of, like, bands that need production won't necessarily go. And so in a lot of ways, yeah, we were the band of fans. We're going to places and playing for people who love that music, who didn't necessarily get to see those bands. We were their band, you know what I mean? But in some ways, we were lucky to be part of that wave because it gave us the ability to get our music out to people. Like, being associated with that wave of American metalcore or whatever by the press and by who, the greater metal, I guess, consciousness gave us the ability to sort of go everywhere and be like, okay, all right, you have your glam rock people, your death metal people, your emo people, and then, okay, fucking here's these metalcore people. And now that term's changed and music's changed, and then we're described as other shit too. But it gave us the ability to find a lane. And I think when you're in a band, that's really important, because without one and without a scene and without an identity, it's really hard to find how to, like, do anything with impact.
Well, I think you've been successful in doing that, man. Thanks for. I know, looking at the time, you probably got something else to talk to too.
Oh yeah.
So it's
cheers, man. We will see you out there. Oh yeah, shit, I gotta go. Fuck, somebody else is mad. Right. But hey, thanks, Mike. Cheers. Good morning, and